Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. We are going to be doing something a little differently, as you have seen from probably the title and the thumbnail. It's not really a gaming video. It's a tier list. So, not from what you guys know about me, but if you don't know, I really enjoy fanfiction, whether it be reading or writing it. I will admit that I do write fanfiction from time to time, and I do read it. And I thought it was time to really rank my the mainstream tropes that are usually seen in it. So before I get on with it, that's what I meant. If you enjoy this kind of thing, you can leave a like, subscribe, whatever, comment, trick the algorithm into thinking my videos are good. You know, they are. They totally are good, okay? But, yeah, do that if you want. Really helps out, you know. At this time, I only have, like, 27 subs, so it would really mean a lot. So, first off, we have lovers to enemies. Right here. Does it capture my cursor? It does not. Let me fix that really fast. Alright, back here. So first we have lovers to enemies. Now, it depends on for me, it depends on the execution. I don't really seek it out. But, sometimes depending on how they become enemies for me. Because not usually, but sometimes it's like, they have a fight that is completely arbitrary just so they break up. But if it's like a really but if it's like a slow burn, like they slowly just like start to like really not like each other, and then they break up, that's kind of what I like. But so for now we're gonna go depends on the execution. I've been burned once. Royalty AU. These usually aren't good. The trope itself isn't bad. Like, there have been a few that are just like, oh, that was pretty good in terms of like, you know, a story, but the concept is fine. But just the fics that I've read doing royalty AUs are just, they're usually about like one character is just like, oh, they're whatever, you know, they're the main focus of this royalty AU, and it's just very obvious that the writer just has a boner for this one character, and it's, you know, gets old really fast. So I'm gonna say really depends on execution. Fluff. Both kinds of fluff I really enjoy. But my kryptonite other than extremely slow burn enemies to lovers is platonic fluff. That's my favorite thing to read. So I would die for fluff. I would gladly, like, if the entire concept or trope of fluff was in between like a loaded, you know, 12-gauge shotgun load with a buckshot, I would gladly, without hesitation, jump in the way. I am a #1 fluff fan. Pregnancy fic? This is not my thing. It's just, no, I don't like it. I feel like it binds it into, not binds it into realism, but it's just really easy to fuck it up. And all of the pregnancy fics that I've subjected myself to, mostly because they had a little bit of this. They had a little bit of the fluff. But, yeah. Usually the kid's like an OC or something if like that ever happens, but they just put so much emphasis on like the pregnancy aspect of it or something that it's just like not great. Okay, next we have Hurt No Comfort. I don't hate Hurt No Comfort. I don't at all. Um it's kind of reflects how real life is sometimes, you know, like there's not always going to be like a happy ending, or you know, a like not something good isn't always going to happen after the whole hurt aspect happens, and I really like it, but I don't actively seek it out a lot of the time. So I'm gonna go like it for that one. Hanahaki. Uh, I have never laid eyes on a Hanahaki fic. I have never read Hanahaki for the fandoms that I like. Like the fandoms that I enjoy. It's mainly like three. The ones that I write for are completely different. So the ones that I write for are Saw, Buckshot Roulette, Dungeons and Dragons. I've been writing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff lately. I wrote one fic for, recall it is The Hate You Give, the book. It was an alternate ending I had to do for some writing prompt for one of my English classes this semester in college. You know, I'm a college student, okay? I know I sound like a child. I'm not a child. But, yeah. But the fandoms I read are, I don't really look for any specific fandom, but I've been on a Dead by Daylight kick. I read South Park fics sometimes, but we're not having sexual relationships with concerning children, because that's one, illegal, and two, it's just gross, man. But Dead by Daylight, South Park, uh, Dungeons and Dragons, I'll read some of them. Baldur's Gate 3, I'll read some of them. I read one Overwatch fanfiction, but usually it's just all different stuff. Like, I will browse through, like, every fandom through tags, and I have never, ever, in my, like, 3 or 4 years of reading fanfictions, I have never found a Hanahaki fic, not flick. We're not talking about movies. I haven't seen a Hanahaki flick either, because that's not what I watch. I watch, but if you don't know what that is, it's essentially like, it's like some sort of disease where, it's like a disease where if you're like so in love with somebody that, you just like start vomiting flowers or something. I don't know. I just looked this up like 2 minutes before recording this video, so I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. But you essentially like vomit flowers until either one, you die, or two, that feeling is reciprocated. And it's just like weird. It's just weird. I don't get why people like this. So I have never read a Hanagi fic, but the concept, I'm gonna say, really depends on execution. Because it's gotta have like something that would make it make sense, or that it would be like not just weird. because that's like something that I don't read, is just overall weird stuff. I don't have any problem with it being weird, it's just like, why does this exist? Next we have secretly dating. I like this trope. I like it. I like the feeling of like, what if people find out about it, like they're like, oh, these people are dating, and my favorite time when this happens is like they're secretly dating but no one cares. Like, why are you guys keeping it a secret? Like, it's not gonna do anything. That's what I like, because if they think that like everyone's gonna judge them for it or something like that, that's what I like. But then there's the forbidden relationship where they have to date because like they sorry yawn. I didn't sleep at all last night. I was too busy playing Baldur's Gate 3, but not for my YouTube channel. Anyways, like the whole forbidden forbidden relationship, that's just not something that I will seek out, but it's something I like. So the secretly dating but it doesn't matter is a love it, but the other one is depends on execution, so we were gonna put secretly dating and like it. Canon divergence, pretty much every fanfic that ever exists, but sometimes it just doesn't, work. There's canon divergence, and then there's making every single character like not canon compliant, so there's like no point in creating the fic ever, because it like doesn't, nothing fits with the story. Like, you just take one character from the story and then you just shove them somewhere else, somewhere completely original. That's not what I enjoy. But the canon divergence fics that I've read, most of them have been really good, because you can't really have fan fiction without canon divergence. So we're gonna go love it. Crossover. The crossover fics that I've read are really cringy, and it's obvious that the writer just was like, these fandoms, they need to be together. I like these two fandoms, so we're gonna, just mash them up together in one whole thing. Because that's what happens, Is there a way I can... No, there's no way I can do that. So we're just gonna scroll down a little bit down there. So some of them have been done really well, like where it's not like, oh, this character from this fandom. Like, it goes with canon divergence. Like, sometimes it's assumed that they are just part of the world, and that's kind of what I like. But sometimes there needs to be an explanation as to why they're there. So for me, crossover is going to go in depends on execution. Alright. Next we have fake dating. With the fandoms that I read, not the fandoms that I read, but, stuff that I like, fake dating isn't really a thing. But I like the concept of fake dating. Like, for the stuff that I've read, where it's like, these two characters do not like each other, like, two or more characters don't like each other, at all, but they have to pretend that they're dating for a certain purpose. Kind of like the Hunger Games, if you've ever read any of those, where they have to pretend to be dating to get, like, sponsors and stuff. That's not a great example of fake dating, but it's, like, what I think of when I first think of fake dating. So, I'm gonna put fake dating in, depends on execution. Love triangle. I am a hopeless romantic. I may be ace, but I'm a hopeless romantic. It's weird. But love triangle. A lot of fics fuck it up, but the ones that do make up for it completely. So a lot of them, it's like a certain V, like it's more not like a love triangle, but it's like more like a love V, where two characters will be like liking this one character, and then the character that they both mutually like is like stuck on who to date. But that's that there's no love for the other two. And that's something that's when they fuck it up. The thing is when they're all conflicted about each other and it's like this whole big thing, you know, like they all like each other. That's what I enjoy because it's like conflict, like what's gonna happen. Um so I'm gonna say I like love triangles. Slow burn. Slow burn baby. Um there's slow burn, there's fake slow burn, and then there's slow burn so agonizing. Like like you're like 100k words in and they're barely holding hands. That's the slow burn that I that's it's just so agonizing to read. Like I'm like, guys, just kiss already. We know you're gonna be together. But it just gets me so excited when they first like where they start to, you know, show like the love aspect of this slow burn, which I really enjoy. But I would die for slow burn. I would. High school AU. Next we have high school AU. Uh, this might be weird coming from me, but I like high school AUs. I do. I have written a few high school AUs in my back in my time. I have written a few high school AUs. You know, they haven't been, you know, great, but I have written them, you know. I RP high school AUs with like text RP, not in a weird way. I'm not one of those people. But a lot of them it's just like uh it happens with a lot of not great high canon divergence fics where it just doesn't make sense at all. Which is something that what commonly happens for me when I write high school AUs. But well, I'd say I love high school AUs. Heist fic, depends on the fandom. But most of the fandoms that do it, like it makes sense. You know? So you know, I don't seek out heist fics. I don't, but they're very refreshing when they're done well. I like heist fics. Angst. It's angst, you know. It's not great. Really depends on execution because I don't want to cry constantly. I have hurt no comfort for that. Well, I mean they're like these are like really similar. But hurt no comfort is better than angst. Detective AU. So, in case you don't know, a detective AU is where, like, these characters. It's either a like fully realized AU where it's like in the 1940s or 50s, and it's like this noir, like detective story. Like they're a PI, and it's like really interesting, but it works with only a few fandoms or like characters from certain fandoms, and it's hard to fuck up. Not hard to fuck up, easy to fuck up. So I don't personally seek out detective AUs because that's just not my thing. But I I like them sometimes. So I'm gonna go depends on execution. Crime AUs, same, not the same thing, but like you know, they're essentially the same thing. Like the characters are plopped into this setting where like a bunch of not either a bunch of stuff has happened to them, but a lot of things that happen to them in canon, and they're just kind of plopped into a different setting. That's kind of what we were. That's kind of what all my feelings for Detective and Crime AU. Next, we have Dark Fic. I don't read these ever. They're very problematic, and it's commonly used by authors to deal with like their own trauma with characters from fandoms that they enjoy or feel like they can relate to. And I cannot bring myself to read them, most of them. They're usually some level of, like, a lot of them have the dead dove tag on AO3, if you know what that is. And it's just not something that I seek out. So, yeah, I don't really have many thoughts other than the people who probably write them need a little bit of help, maybe. But I'm not gonna judge them. I'm not. It's like a very popular coping mechanism to do this kind of stuff. So, I don't judge people that write it, but it's just not something that I seek out ever. So I'm gonna say it's a no for me. On a less dark and serious note, we have major, not less serious, it's completely serious, but we have major character death. If it's done well, it's good. But, I don't really mind it. I write a lot of major character death stuff. I do. But, why am I so tired today? But, killing off like, it's useful to do major character death sometimes, because it's kind of messes with the concept of plot armor in some cases, where it's like, oh, this character can't die, they're the main character, and then they die. It's just so, what's the word for it? It's so unexpected, and you're like, it just takes something from you that you thought you could stick with. I'm gonna say I like major character death. Bodyguard. I have never read a Bodyguard fic. Ever. So I'm gonna say depends on execution. Yo, let's make a separate tier. Let's make a separate tier, shall we? Alright. Let's put that in. I have never read this. All the stuff I have never read. Put it in there. Okay. So next we have Hurt Comfort. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's a very I'd compare it to like a certain, like, a soup broth. Like, it's not like the trope itself that I seek out. It's like what is alongside it. It's like like a good ramen soup, you know? Like the broth, it's fine, but it's all about like the noodles, you know, the shit that you put in it. So I'm gonna say depends on execution, because like the same thing with a lot of other things. It entirely depends on what you do with it. Like if it's for example, hurt comfort, you know, relating to like major character death, you know, or it evolves into like major character death into like fluff or something, that's what I enjoy. Like, but if it's like angst into like this, I don't like it. It's like, you know, it entirely depends. Unhappy ending. I enjoy them because that's how life is, you know? Life doesn't always have a happy ending. I know I might sound like a emo person here, but it doesn't. That's realistic. And all of the stories and all of the fan fictions, I write both like original works and fan fictions, usually have an unhappy ending. And it's usually revolving around, oh my gosh, my ad blocker just jump scared me. Anyways, especially if it's blended with other things, I love it. I would not die for it though. Like I would my two favorites, Fluff and the Slow Burn. Holiday fic. I don't have many words for it. I just like it. Historical AU. Really depends on execution. Time loop. I have never read a time loop fic. Sick fic. I'm trying to remember if I've read a sick fic. I am. I don't remember if I've ever read one. It's kind of like if like the entire thing about it is just that they're sick or ill. It doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't matter like what kind of illness it is, but it's just like, oh, this character has a cold and you know they're dealing with that. Like it's very, very slice of life in a sense, and that's not what I read at all. I'm gonna say it really depends on execution. Next we have Soulmate AU. I think it's for, I think this is for people whose ship didn't work in the original show. Not the original show. I'm not gonna say like it's all just TV shows, but in the original source material, shall we say? It's like, oh, in my fan fiction, they're soulmates and they're meant to be each other, and they're meant to be with each other. So that's why they're together. You know, it's you know, choice that I'm making, not anybody else. And I just think it's kind of dumb. It's a copium for people whose ships didn't work out. It's really depends on execution. Now we are on to the next one. So domesticity, I don't even know if I said it right, is basically just slice of life. It's usually like very, very slow, not slow paced, but it's like paced like how real life is, you know, nothing really interesting happens. It's just like, oh, this is what happens in their day-to-day life. And it's just not interesting when I read it. It's not, like, I don't know what people gain out of it. It's just not my cup of tea. I know a lot of people like it, but it's a no from me. I will not go seek out actively this stuff. Next we have the all important, one of the entire reasons that fanfiction ever exists, the fix-it fic. I like fix-it fics. All of my fanfics that I have written, with the exception of Addiction and Desperation, have been fix-it fics of sorts, whether it be a crack ship that I really enjoy, or just a ship that I really enjoy. I feel like every single fandom to ever exist has had at least one fix-it fic. I wouldn't die for them because a lot of people's like fix-its make the material worse, in my opinion. I'm not saying most of them, I'm saying a lot of them. But yeah, I'm gonna say not that I've never read this. I'm gonna say like it. Next is Mutual Pining. I have never read a Mutual Pining fic. Sorry. ABO. No. Don't read that ever. I don't ever seek it out. It's gross and it's very unoriginal. And it's stereotyping of, like, you know, people, and it's very, very driven around smut and that kind of thing. And I despise smut. Despise. Which is why I'm such a big fan of fluff. I love fluff. But, anyways. Just letting you know, every single trope that is based off of smut or something like that is going to be a no from me. Just saying. You know, you could click off the video if you want. You could dislike it. I don't care. You know, my opinions are my opinions. I will die standing for what I hate. Next, because I don't want to talk about it anymore, we have Enemies to Lovers. Oh my god. I'm just gonna put that right where it belongs. Because, it's my favorite trope ever. I love Enemies to Lovers. Especially with, oh wait, no, that's gonna spoil something later. But, I don't have any. I have words, but I'm speechless. You know, I think of it and I'm just like, oh my god. There's just so many things that can be done with it, especially when it's like super slow burn, where they slowly shift to like liking each other. Enemies to Friends to Lovers is something that I enjoy too, because it's like it feels more natural than just straight enemies to lovers, because they just go from hating each other to loving each other, and it's just kind of weird. But I would die for enemies to lovers, especially enemies to friends to lovers. And then we have college AU. It's very similar to high school AU, but they're a few years older. And that's you know, the whole part of it is like, I'm gonna put it like it, but it's not bad, but as a college student, a lot of them are really unrealistic. They're not all eating ramen noodles every day, and they're not crying about how poor they are all the time. Well, I mean, I don't do that, but like a lot of college students do. But, you know, it's fine. Celebrity AU, I have never read a celebrity AU ever. It's just not something I seek out. Sci-fi AU. Most of the fandoms I read are already like sci-fi or fantasy elements, but fantasy fandoms going into sci-fi elements like sci-fi fantasy is I would die for sci-fi fantasy, but that's not here. So I'm gonna go like it. Bang or die. It has to do with sex. It's a no for me. Genfic. Genfic. In case you don't know, a genfic is like a fic that's not based around romance or sex at all. It's more like a platonic thing. I'd say it's similar to fluff, but where there's like platonic. It can happen. Like fluff can happen in a genfic, but I really like them. You know, it's very refreshing when it comes to that. But some of them aren't great. This can mean one of two things. Both of these are a no for me, but it can either mean plot, what plot? Porn. Or it can be porn with plot. Those are the two that I've seen, like definitions for PWP. Both are a no for me, by the way. Yeah, let's just put all of these, all of them. Where are they? Where are they? Where's all of the. Okay, that's all. That's all the small ones. All right. So next, once we got all that out of the way, we have Drunken Confession. I like them, but a lot of them don't do it great. When it's done well, I really love it. But when they aren't, it's not great, to say the least. So basically, it's like at least one character, they get drunk and like they slip up and admit that they like that person or someone else. It works with enemies to lovers if you're not doing like a very slow burn story where also mutual the concept of mutual pining. I'm gonna realize that I am comparing something for a trope that I said I never read. I don't read mutual pining. I write mutual pining. Okay, there's a difference. But if two characters like each other and they don't think the other one likes them, it can really open the door from enemies to lovers, which has mutual pining elements or something like that. But it's like a gateway for other things. But I'm gonna say it depends on execution, because sometimes it's like they have like one drink and they like just admit it and it's all they tag it as Drunken Confession. Like that's not what it is. Western AU, I have never read a Western AU ever. Fantasy AU, I don't love fantasy AUs where it's like I like modern fantasy if it's talking about modern fantasy AUs. I like those. But if it's like a bunch of modern characters like ripped way back in like medieval times and a fantasy fic, I hate it. So I'm gonna say depends on execution, or it really depends on execution, because that. Established relationship, it's where two or more characters who are already in a relationship, it's kind of like that relationship. It's kind of like to be paired with something like, let's see. It can be not slow burn because they're already in a relationship. It can be paired with like fluff, gen, love triangle, fix it fic depending on it. Lovers to enemies is something that I might want to see with an established relationship where they just slowly start not liking each other because it's a ship that I don't like, or a relationship I don't like, where it's like lovers to enemies with an established relationship and the only relationship is like the relationship that I don't like. It's something that I enjoy. But if it's like, just two characters being together, I like seeing them get in a relationship. So I'm gonna say it depends on execution. Baby fic. In case you don't know, a baby fic is when two characters, two, whether it be OCs or not OCs, OC slash canon or something like that, they'd like have a kid, you know, and the entire thing is like depending on if they have a kid. Baby fics are also known as kid fics for the purpose, depending on like the age of the kid or something. I don't like it. I really don't. It's not really something that I've ever seeked. That doesn't seem right for and say I have never seeked out baby or kid fics. Next, we have crack fic. I like crack fics, but crack ships are some of my favorite ships to ever be utilized, because like it's just sometimes they're not taken seriously. Sometimes they are. My favorite part is when it's like a completely serious fic, and like two characters that would never get in a relationship together would be, you know, in a relationship. It works well with slow burn enemies to lovers. That's something that I enjoy. Also, fix it. A crack fic is sometimes a fix it because the writer is insane, but I love crack fics. Coffee Shop AU, have never read ever. I should probably do the ones that I've never read. Let's just that I've read it. Underrated lovers. Just one minute. Yep. Okay. There's all the ones that I've never read. Oh, that one too. Next we have sharing a bed. This doesn't have to be smart related. It can be like a... Wait, hold on a minute. I need to look up if this trope is like what I think it means. Okay, so it is what I think it means. It's not like an innuendo for them having sex. It's actually them just sharing a bed. So this is either for like comedic purposes or like to establish sexual tension. I like it when it's like used not for an introduction to smut, but for like a relationship where it's like, oh haha, wouldn't it be funny if that happened? And they're just like, you know, it would, you know, I'd really enjoy if that happens. And it's just like an introduction for a romantic relationship. So I'm gonna say it really depends on execution, because usually it leads to smut, and that's not what I enjoy. Mission case fic. This is commonly used with I'm losing my voice because I am talking for an hour straight. But anyways, it's usually used with certain fandoms that are like, I'm trying to think of, like, the Avengers, or, like, cop shows like Law and Order, or, I don't watch Blue Bloods, but Blue Bloods, because I'm insane. I'm not insane, I swear. I mean, I am insane, but not that insane. But it's just, like, usually an original case that the writer thinks up, and the characters are, like, doing that case, you know? It depends on the execution, because, like, sometimes it just leads to shenanigans, and sometimes it leads to, like, a good story. Unrequited love. I like it. I do. It just works with Hurt No Comfort as well. Like, I feel like it synergizes very well with Hurt No Comfort, where they share their love for each other and just never ends up happening. Wait, no, that's the wrong trope. Never mind. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. It's when two characters like one of them loves one another and it's just like they are not reciprocating and they don't like it. Sorry. Um but it's very sad. It has to do with like I like it when like they get rejected at first and then like it slowly starts to get like they both like each other. And then where it really hits hard for me is where it's then undercurrent love the other way around, where it's like now the person that originally liked them is now not reciprocating and it's just so painful, you know. I'm gonna say I like it. Friends to lovers. It's like enemies to lovers, but they already like each other. Or they just go a little bit further. Oh, I just realized that should go, and I've never read this. Oh no. I missed it. Okay, friends to lovers. I like it. I like it. In fact, I love friends to lovers. It's not as good as enemies to lovers by any means, but if it's like very fast, I don't like it. Which is why it's not an I would die for this trope, because enemies to lovers is always great, and friends to lovers is fine. Sometimes. Missing scenes. Just stuff that you don't really see in the canon stuff. It really depends on the execution, because sometimes it's smut and sometimes it isn't, but I'm gonna say it really depends on execution. Painfully obvious. This does well for slow burn sometimes, and it does well for friends to lovers a lot of the time, because that's part of it. Sorry, I was lost for a minute. I was just lost. This could also go for mutual pining that I have never read, but you know, it's painfully obvious and they're not, you know, aware of it. So I'm gonna say like it. I like painfully obvious. Next we have 5+1. I had to look up what 5+1 means because I didn't know what it was. But I like the concept of 5+1. So I'm gonna say I've never read this, but I want to talk about it. I want to talk about 5+1. So it's essentially where 5 situations happen, where it's like you try 5 times at something and then one of them succeeds, or you fail 5 times and then one of them succeeds. It's just like or it's like 5 things happen that are alongside one thing, and then one happens, sorry, that just isn't related at all. That's kind of, I don't know, but that's pretty, I'd say, like, on paper it sounds pretty good, but I've never read anything about it. And then we have Mpreg. I've never read Mpreg, you know. Well, I mean, I've accidentally read Mpreg because I missed a tag. But I've never willfully read Mpreg, and I will never want to willfully read Mpreg. No one ever would, in the right mind, would want to read Mpreg. I'm sorry, it just has to be said. If you enjoy Mpreg and you are this far into the video, I need you to comment that you do, just so I can prove that you exist. And if you do exist, why? Just comment, why do you like it? Tell me why you like it. I won't consider it. I'll just, you know, put it on my little report that you're mentally ill. Not mentally ill. There's, you know, doesn't mean you're mentally ill, but, you know. Why? I just need to know your reasoning. It's not something that I enjoy at all. You know, it's gonna be a no for me. No for me. Never mind. Near-death confession really works well with Hurt No Comfort. This is what I was originally saying when I was thinking about Unrequited Love. Near-death confession works really well with hurt no comfort. Or what's it? What is it? What's it? Major character death. Hurt no comfort, major character death, and near-death confession is the trifecta of just the ultimate hurt no comfort fic. It's near-death confession, major character death, maybe friends to lovers. You know, it's just great. You know, the perfect hurt no comfort fic has to have a near-death confession. I love it. Patching up wounds. Two characters patch each other's wounds up after a fight. Depends on execution because sometimes it leads to sex. Jealousy. I think that it can be where certain characters are jealous of each other and they're like trying to do that, but it can also be where it can work with a love triangle. Well, one of those goofy little love V's that is not a love triangle, where characters are jealous of the other ones, of the other character that's in a relationship with that one, and it can lead to some shenanigans. I'm gonna say it depends on the execution because sometimes they're done bad. But yeah, it depends. Idiots in love. I like it. Works well with friends to lovers. And you know, it's a good trope. It's a good trope. I love idiots in love. I wouldn't die for it, but it's good. AI is used as a thing. Depends on the fandom. Or it can also mean an AI written fic. If it's an AI written fic, it's a no for me. But if AI is used, it entirely depends because it's like, oh yeah, the AI wants to kill the world. So I'm gonna say it really depends on execution here. And they were roommates. Two roommates get into a romantic relationship. It's usually used with, I mean, not usually, but what I've seen, it's usually friends to lovers, used in a college AU, you know. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it works sometimes. Usually leads to smut, which is not something that I enjoy, but I'm gonna say it depends on execution. After jealousy, because that was ranked. Gender swap. I like gender swap. In a D&D thing that I'm DMing, my character's gender swap, but with consent from my players, because consent is key, not just in risky scenarios. Here at Anakisuto Industries, consent is key. With consent of my players, I just gender swapped them all, and it was hilarious. But sometimes it leads to smut, so I'm gonna just say like it. I would say I would die for this trope if it didn't always sometimes lead to smut, but you know, it does sometimes. I've been burned. I've been burned a few times. Bully. Usually done with enemies to lovers and enemies to lovers. It's very cliche, but I enjoy it sometimes. Depends on execution. Miscommunication. This happens with lovers to enemies, friends to enemies, that kind of thing, where miscommunication happens and they, you know, don't, like, they break up or they just don't like each other anymore. I'd say it's done a lot in like a bunch of like kids movies, and that whole concept of it just kind of ruins it for me. So I'm gonna say it really depends on execution. Modern day AU. It entirely depends if like these characters, usually from a fantasy setting or like like older times, where it's like, I think of like a noir setting set to modern day. If their characters, like their memories, everything, and they're just somehow thrown into a modern setting, it's hilarious. Shenanigans ensue, you know? But if it's like Uh, for example, like a high school AU with fantasy characters, it can be done good, it can be done well, but sometimes they're just not done good at all. So I'm gonna say I like it. I like modern day AUs. Grumpy and Sunshine. Uh, I like it. I like the trope, especially when the Sunshine character dies and the grumpy characters like can't do anything about it, and they end up actually liking each other. It works well with like slow burn, fluff, you know, my best tropes. But I'm gonna say love it or like it. Like it. I'm gonna say like it. Because I've been burned a few times, you know, and it's just it's very overdone sometimes, very overdone, from what I've seen. Body swap. I like body swap. I like I like it when it's done in my D&D settings because it allows for role playing opportunities. But we're not talking about D&D. We're talking about fan fiction. I don't read a lot of body swap, but when I do read it, it's really good. Like the ones that I've read, it's really good. So I'm gonna say I love body swap. I love it. I love body swap. Amnesia. Really depends on execution. It's it's usually used for example and enemies to romance thing. One of my Steam friends just texted me, told me to beat on Road on Dead by Daylight. Not Dead by Daylight. Fuck. Baldur's Gate 3. I might do an honor mode run, by the way. You know. I'll respond to that soon. But, you know, we're talking about fanfiction here. You should like the video if you want to see a Baldur's Gate 3 honor mode playthrough. If this video hits 50 likes, 50, the bar is that low, I will do an honor mode playthrough after I'm done with my regular one. But Amnesia, it's done really badly a lot of the time, and it's done with enemies to lovers, and it's not slow burn at all, where it's just like, oh, you're pretty, and they like each other for some reason. I don't know. It's just dumb. I don't usually done within. Sometimes it's done well, where it's like, not idiots in love. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Friends to lovers. That's what I wanted to do. Friends to lovers. Arranged marriage. Fake dating. This has to do where that's not fake dating. That's secretly dating. Fake dating. It's done a lot with that, but it's usually very, very cliche, like Romeo and Juliet-esque. That's not really my thing. Next we have canon compliant. I like canon compliant because it's very, very most of the time it's very faithful to the source material, and like you know what to expect. Like if it's canon compliant, you know what to expect. You know, it's just like an ordinary adventure done in, you know, the story, but it's like a lot of it is like it's like an episode, like for example a show, it's like an episode of the show, but it's written by someone else. Like the characters are all different, and that's something I like, but for me it depends on execution. Or wait, no, I'm not gonna say depends on I'm gonna say like it. I'm gonna say like it. X-Reader. Reader inserts are not my favorite thing in the world, but however, I am writing a reader insert. I'm sorry, but I like writing X-Reader, not X-Reader, but you know, reader inserts. But if it's like romantic relationship smut with reader, it's not great. It's horrible. So I'm gonna say it really depends on execution. Next we have a fighting turn confession. I love fighting turn confession because it's like the opposite of enemy, like it's enemies to lovers usually, but it's just like it just is so out of nowhere that is just so good. It's like a smack in the face, but in a good way, and I like it. I like it. I really like it. So I'm gonna give it an I would die. I would die for this trope. I would die for fighting turn confession. It's great. It's just like, oh, that happened, and it's so unexpected. I just love it. Next we have paranormal AU. From what I've read of paranormal AUs, where it's just like their house is haunted or something like that. It's not really, they're not great from what I've read, but they're okay. So I'm gonna say it depends on execution. So for our last one, we have ex lovers. I think this is talking about where like two characters break up, but they end up getting back together. In the end, not in the end, but like later on, it works well with and lovers to enemies, back to lovers again, but it's fine. I'd say it really depends on execution because it's not something that I actively seek out, and sometimes it's just done not great. You know, it's fine. Sorry that we ended off on such a not interesting note, or a how should we say this, more boring note. Like I didn't end it just like spazzing out on fighting turn confession, because that would have been great, but that's where we'll end it for today. If you have other opinions that you want me to know, like just tell me how you feel about this. Yell at me for not liking porn or something like that. No, just kidding. Don't do that. But if you agree with my opinions, comment, add to it, do whatever you want. Leave a like, subscribe, do whatever you want, or just ignore me. I don't care. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.